LSU. Boom!
All night long. Yes.
Let's go. Oh, you might be witnessing the single most productive, statistically brilliant quarterback we have ever seen in college football. Jayden Daniels, the mixture with the ability to hit the deep ball and run at the same time. We have only seen one other quarterback do what he has done, and that is Joe Burrow. So you see the poll question, who do you think has had better individual regular season success? Was it Joe Burrow in 2019? Was it Jayden Daniels? Obviously, we still got one more game next week. But what he did tonight, I understand it was Georgia State. But in that first drive of the game, he was under some pressure and he was able to run for a first down. Under some pressure again, he was able to, miss the unblocked player and gain the first down. Unfreaking believable stuff for Jayden Daniels tonight. Also a really good game for Malik Neighbors, Ryan Thomas Jr., and Kyron Lacey. Now, the funny thing about it was Jayden Daniels had more touchdowns than incompletions tonight. That is how good he's been. He had 6 touchdowns and only 5 incompletions. 3 of those were to LSU's receivers. Actually, I think 4 of those were to LSU's receivers who are not in the big 3 of Kyron Lacey, Brian Thomas Jr., and Malik Neighbors. It was also interesting that they showed, the graphic in the game tonight where LSU could be looking at, Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr. at the same level of Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, right? That's how good they have been. So the bottom line is this. When you look at Jayden Daniels and you look at what Bo Nix did today, the biggest story for the next couple of weeks for LSU football, and honestly, we won't have this answer until the week after the conference championship weekend, is Jayden Daniels going to win this Heisman Trophy? I'm still going to think if Bo Nix balls out of control versus Oregon State next week and Washington, he's probably going to win the award because he's undefeated, which is BS. If you look at the eye test, you look at the statistical analysis, it is pretty clear that Jayden Daniels deserves the Heisman Trophy, and it should be a lock. It should be. He has been the best individual player. I'm not talking about the best team. Oregon's got a better team. Washington's got a better team. But Jayden Daniels individually, when you watch his LSU defense, it even makes you say even more so that Jayden Daniels is the best quarterback in the sport. And I would also say this. Now that Missouri has won again tonight versus the hungry Florida Gators that needed a victory, okay? How many wins does Michael Penix and Bo Nix have that is better than going on the road to Missouri and putting 49 on them when you lost both your first and second string center and he himself got hurt during the game? So we're going to have obviously a lot of national debates. This will be the most heavily debated Heisman Trophy in a long time. 2019, pretty straightforward. 2020, that should have been Devonta Smith. They got that right. Obviously, 2021, Bryce Young. Should it have been Bryce Young or Will Anderson? It should have been either one of those two. They're on the same team, but we knew pretty much that Bryce Young was going to win it. And then, of course, 2022 ended up being obviously Caleb Williams. So that kind of became obvious as well. So this is going to be the most heavily contested Heisman Trophy debate that we have had. So there you go. Let's go to our first super chats here. Board says he gives the edge to Jayden. It seems to me like Chase bailed Joe out on a lot of passes where he went up and made a great play on a contested ball. Yeah, but a lot of Jamar's catches were also Joe putting absolute amazing accuracy and touch on those passes. It's a tomato kind of thing. I will also say this. If you were to compare the two of them, Joe is always going to be better than Jayden, simply because of the Florida State game, right, where Jayden did not play well. Joe did not have a bad game in 2019. And I don't think Jayden played bad versus Florida State. I don't think he played elite like he has in pretty much every other game. So, yeah, that's always going to be like the biggest, difference. But I will say this. When it comes to supporting cast, there is no comparison, right? Joe's supporting cast at running back in particular and on the defensive side of the football, which helped Joe go undefeated, it's not even close. It's not even close. So yeah, it's interesting when you look at it like that. But I just want to bring that up. And when you take a look at the poll question, let me know what you guys think of the comment section. Okay. But Joe is always going to be ahead of Jayden for me. But it's close, man. If you just look at the individual statistics, it is really hard to deny that Joe and Jayden are now on a different level than practically everyone else. And I think, obviously Johnny Manziel had 2 elite seasons in 2 years, and he was younger. Cam Newton, his single season is obviously up there. So yeah, it's crazy, absolutely crazy. It's wonderful, absolutely wonderful to watch Jayden do this. Now we'll get back into Heisman debate that's going to overtake this entire live stream, which is fine. Our whole season rests on Jayden Daniels winning the Heisman Trophy, and to a certain extent, Malik Neighbors winning the Biletnikoff, and maybe the LSU offensive line winning the Joe Moore Award. Now, we're going to talk about the LSU defense here as well. This was another pathetic game, and I know that sounds crazy when the score is 56-14, but this kind of feels like the Grambling game where Grambling moved the football, up and down the field. They just couldn't finish some drives. Grambling probably should have had an extra touchdown. LSU should have given up an extra touchdown to Georgia State when they had a walk-in touchdown on 4th and 8, and the receiver, for some reason, couldn't see the ball. You rarely see a wide receiver lose the ball in the lights. It's rare. It's not like a pop fly that you lose in the sun or the lights or whatever. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Also thought Sean Elliott, the Georgia State head coach, made some really bad decisions in this game. The tons of defensive timeouts when you weren't stopping them anyway. Timeouts should mostly only be used on offense outside of end-of-game situations. Or end-of-half situations. Then to not go for it on 4th and inches before the half, when Jayden is the absolute best at the end of halves. That is when he's at his best. Jayden Daniels scored a touchdown versus Alabama with 36 seconds left to go on the clock in his own territory. Why do you think you're going to stop him with a minute left and they're getting the ball first at a half? That was lunacy to punt the football back to Jayden Daniels. I tweeted about it at the time. Every single one of you knew that the dude was basically guillotining his team, right, by punting the football back. The only way Georgia State was going to win this game is by outscoring them, okay? I do give the LSU defense some credit for some resolve after that 4th and 8 play. They did not give up any more points, but I do feel Georgia State, when they missed a wide open touchdown, and then on the very next drive, BTJ hits that 70-plus yard touchdown, you felt Georgia State was just done after that. It's done. It's done, man. It's done. Let's go to Legacy Dom, the president of the Jayden fan club. If you think you love Jayden Daniels more than Legacy Dom, you don't. Okay. Carlos, be real, give Jayden that same D that Joe Burrow had, and then talk stats. There's no way Joe's better than Jayden when Jayden matches stats plus 1K rushing. Yeah, I would also say this. It's close. It's very, very, very close. There is no debate, though, who has had to carry more weight. Okay? No debate. Jayden Daniels has had to carry this team. Okay? One other thing that I will add that Jayden has in his favor that is a little bit Cam Newtonian. Okay, I know I didn't say that smoothly at all. Okay. Kyron Lacey is a very good football player. Sibley with the hundo. I appreciate it. Okay. And I probably shouldn't have done a Joe versus Jayden comparison until after the Texas A&M game. So that's on me. So I'll change the poll question. This is one thing. This is one thing I would say. All right. One thing I would say about Jayden Daniels that is very Cam Newtonian, okay? The one thing Cam Newton will always have over every single quarterback who has played this game is nobody had to carry a team more than him. Nobody ever will. I don't think we'll ever see a national champion quite like Cam Newton's Auburn Tigers, right? He had a bad coach. He didn't have – none of his supporting cast ever played an NFL snap, I believe, on the offensive side of the football. No one's ever one-man banded this. Malik is obviously elite. BTJ is obviously elite. Our offensive line is obviously freaking credible, okay? But outside of that, and one really good tight end, we are thin on offense, right? We are very, very, very thin, okay? After the first wave, like, you look at the incompletions. Who are the incompletions to? It was to our non-top 3 receivers, right? It is freaking incredible how Jayden Daniels carries us, okay? Not only just in his play style, but his leadership. It's absolutely crazy. And Legacy Dom could tell you more about that. Let's go to Sibley. A very big happy Thanksgiving to you. Obviously, Sibley, one of my good personal friends. We talk about once a week. What will it take to beat the Aggies? Does a change in coaching staff boost them? How do we match up? Okay. I got to be real here. I got to be real. The difference between Texas A&M and their locker room today was very noticeable. Okay. So this is what sucks. All right. Do you remember last year? And we'll get back into Georgia State in just a second. All right. Let's see if you guys remember this. The guy that killed us last year was a running back by the name of Devon Achane. Okay. No big deal. Devon Achane has been arguably the best running back in the AFC when he's healthy for the Miami Dolphins, okay? He is an elite player, all right? He tore us up last year. That happens. But the other guy that tore us up was Moose Muhammad, number 7, okay? So it was very well known in Texas A&M circles that Jimbo Fisher does not like Moose Muhammad. He just didn't. All right. Jimbo Fisher benched Moose Muhammad because he wore long sleeves. True story. So today, now that Jimbo got fired, Moose Muhammad finally got off the bench and he went off. Like, he had a ridiculous one-handed catch and then he hurdled a guy. Now they were playing nobody, but still. That's the same guy that Moss Sage Ryan twice. I don't know why Texas A&M never played him. It's because Jimbo hated his guts, and his dad was a wide receiver in the NFL. So Texas A&M came out with a lot of energy today. Obviously, their defensive line is really good, and we'll see if they come out motivated. Kind of a weird spot for them, right? They are at 7 wins. a bowl does not change all that much from 7 to 8, right? The teams that you look for potential letdowns in the final week are teams that have 7 or 8 wins, right? Unless it's the Egg Bowl where it's Ole Miss versus Mississippi State, where your whole season's at one game. A 7 and 8 win team is just not going to be that motivated. It doesn't change your outlook all that much. Now, a 5-win team or a 6-win team, it's a little bit different, right? If you had 6 wins, you don't want to be 6 and 6, right? 6 to 7, 7 and 5 sounds way better than 6 and 6. Or if you're at 5 wins, you got to get to 6 so you can go to a bowl game, right? So Texas A&M was extra motivated last year. They were 4 and 7. They didn't want to be Texas 4 and 8, and it was their final game versus LSU. So they emptied the playbook and got after us. Okay. This year, I just don't know, right? It's at 11 a.m. the Friday morning after Thanksgiving. Are they going to be motivated? I don't know. That's going to be up to them. I'm probably going to bet LSU to cover. Okay. I had LSU covering tonight. Had them in the first quarter. They couldn't quite get it. I thought for sure LSU was going to receive. Georgia State won the toss and they chose to receive. Okay. So yeah, it's a weird situation. But yeah, I think they're happy Jimbo Fisher's gone and they're ready to figure out what's going to happen next. And we do match up pretty well to them. Obviously, one thing I am concerned about, Sibley, is this LSU offensive line. Who are the 2 teams that they have struggled against? All right. It's been Florida State and it's been Alabama. What do those 2 teams have in common? Well, they have actual numbers on the fronts, 5 stars after 5 stars after 5 stars. So the 2 games where our O-line has struggled, they have had some issues going up against the elite defensive lines, and Texas A&M has an elite defensive line in terms of talent, maybe not in terms of consistency, but I think at this point, simply, Jayden's playing so well, it doesn't matter. It honestly just does not matter. Okay. So there you go. No, I mean, not the Friday after Thanksgiving, the Saturday after Thanksgiving, excuse me. Still the same thing though, right? You have Thanksgiving and everybody's with their families except you. You're playing a game. Are you really motivated to play in it? Right? It's not your final. It's not going to be like Texas A&M last year, where it was their final game of the season. So sorry, I did misspoke. Not the Friday after Thanksgiving. Had Missouri on my mind. Missouri plays Arkansas on Friday, I believe, and then Saturday will be LSU. Bam! I don't want anyone to go Friday and then they're by Tiger Stadium and be like, "Oh, I could have got $50 off on a TV from Best Buy, but I'm here at Tiger Stadium because that stupid son of a gun on Power Hour LSU told me to be here." What's good, Billy? Good to see you. Yeah, Creek, that's going to be the goal, man. So there you go. Now, obviously, when Brian Kelly gets to the podium, we'll relay some of the messages. We might actually play some of his press conference like we did last week. Larry right here wants to talk some Malik Neighbors and the Biletnikoff. Stat line for today. Marvin Harrison Jr., 6 targets, 3 catches, 30 yards, and a touchdown. Malik Neighbors, 9 targets, 8 catches, 140 yards, 2 touchdowns, but they're going to give it to Marvin Harrison. Yeah, I think at this point, it's going to go to Harrison. You know, I don't know what the Adunzi guy did tonight, but I'm sure it's not a lot. I know Penix didn't have his biggest game tonight, but I could see, Malik getting the Biletnikoff. I could see it. You know, I think Malik Neighbors I think Malik Neighbors has a good shot of getting it now, right? Now that Jayden has so much national attention, the one thing is like, yes, we lost the game, but Malik had a huge game versus Alabama. So most people know who this is, right? He's played in 2 Alabama games, and he's been phenomenal in 2 Alabama games. So most voters know who this is, okay? It's not like a Dunzi who just had this 1 year, okay? Let's go to Player X, who was at the game tonight. Appreciate you watching us in traffic. That's a good thing about being in that Baton Rouge post-game traffic is you can watch me while the game's going on or while you're driving at 2 miles per hour. Hit the like button. Do we fire House before the bowl game? It's a good question, Player X. I think tonight. Well, I'll tell you this. I am pretty certain that after the Florida State game, Brian Kelly was not pleased with the defensive scheme. Okay. It's then gotten worse, right? What's interesting is since that Florida State game, and obviously Florida State's going to be the big story over the next week. After the Florida State game, guess what happened? Our defense got worse. It got worse. Okay. I didn't think it was possible, but it got worse. Okay. And pretty much, if we're going to be honest, one area where I will defend Matt House is how many transfers this year have played up to or exceeded expectations this year on the defensive side of the football. And I would say 2-ish. One for certain is Andre Sam, okay, who hurt his neck tonight. And then another, I would say to a certain extent, is Braden Swinson. But, Braden Swinson is very hot and cold for me. Jordan Jefferson has also been fine at times. Paris Shand has been fine at times. There's times where Jordan Jefferson's been very good. But, guys, it's been an issue, right? It's been a major issue for Matt House that a lot of these transfers have not panned out. And LSU roster-wise is kind of in a weird spot, right? Because, look, LaTerrence Welsh is healthy. He is healthy right now. He was in at the end of the game. And they still played the true freshman, right? They put Jeremiah Hughes ahead of him tonight. Toviano was obviously ahead of him, and Stamps was ahead of him. Sage Ryan, of course, is out there as well. Matt House is probably gone. And he's gonna have a very complicated legacy, obviously, at LSU. But man, I'll tell you this. I go back and I look at some of the bad defenses. Some of those Pelini defenses. They weren't. I would have to go back and relook at everything. They weren't as bad as tackling as we are. Okay. But yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, Ryan, don't pay attention to that. I wouldn't pay attention to Mason Taylor going to Miami. Why would he do that? I'm serious. What would be the benefit of that? The only real connection is his dad coaching there. And yes, it would be very cool to play for your dad and go back to the state you played high school football. But why would he leave what is a position that he has locked in here? Okay. that's I wouldn't pay attention to that. And that's always just kind of been out there, right? And look, I've had the good fortune of meeting Jason last year during the season, and he's fine with his son, living his dream and being the player that he is here. But yeah, Ryan, if there was a negative for the offense, it's the non guys for our team had rough nights, right? It was a rough night for Aaron. It was a rough night for Chris, and yeah, it kind of stinks, right? You would have loved one of those two guys to be the alpha next year. But the bottom line is Kyron Lacy's going to be our number one option next year unless we get somebody freaking massive in the portal. And that's still a very real possibility. Okay. Let's go here, Larry. Why is it so hard for LSU to recruit big-time defensive tackles? That's a position where LSU used to thrive at. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Glenn Dorsey was on the sideline tonight. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I would say this: we got big-time defensive tackles on our roster right now, right? It doesn't get better in terms of prospects and Mason Smith. Jacoby Guillory was a top 100 guy. Jordan Jefferson was a big-time transfer. Are we Georgia, where they got 5-star after 5-star after 5-star? Are we Alabama? No. No. I mean, we're just not. Or Texas A&M, obviously. So, yeah, it's concerning. It's concerning that we've not had better play up front. I do think some of it is defensive line coaches 4 and 4 years. I don't know. I think some of it is coaching, right? This was brought up during the halftime, but Preston got a guest who I've known for a long time, right? He's kind of been a mentor to me. We talk all the time, and he does a lot of consulting for big time coaches now. And his name's Dave Bartu, and he has the LSU coaching staff on the defensive side of the football, not ranked too high, right? He's one of the few that actually goes through and ranks coaching staffs. So yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy to me. What's very weird to me, Larry, is like this is what I would say, okay? And go ahead to Player X with the super chat a minute ago. Yeah, I mean, look, Florida State, a lot of their defense are portal guys. So, we're going to need to do the same thing. But Brian Kelly wants to build his team through the high school ranks, more so moving forward, and we'll see what he can do at that. Let me make one thing clear, all right? As far as portal and all of that, right? Here is the thing. I would do anything, okay? Anything to sit in on one defensive meeting just going over the basics. I am not smart enough to break down Rip Liz principles, split field coverage principles, right? If number 2 goes out, I pick up number 1 or vice versa. I'm not smart enough to do that. I didn't play DB. It's really hard to do those things. Could you imagine a true freshman picking up all that stuff? It's really hard. So that stuff is obviously for Kerry Cooks and Brian Kelly and Matt House. The only thing that I would sit in and ask and individually ask these players is, why do we have so many defensive players do the same thing on defense, right? And what I mean by that is sometimes we have guys guarding the same man. Sometimes we have guys running through the same gap. Sometimes we have guys like tonight. It was after halftime. It's 3rd and 6, okay? We need our outside DBs to be aggressive on 3rd and 6 and 4th and 6. Now, why is that the case? Well, the benefit far outweighs the negative, right? Now, if you're aggressive, guess what? They can beat you over the top, but they still have to complete that. And they also still have to run a vertical route to beat you over the top, right? On 3rd and 6 and 4th and 6, what happens? Receivers run a lot of comebacks. They run a lot of slants. They run a lot of outs because they just want to pick up the yards to gain, right? They're not running vertical. We let people play pitch and catch on 3rd and medium a lot. We don't want that. Even if your DBs aren't experienced, you don't want that. Okay? 1st down, sure, give them 5 yards here or there. 3rd down, no. We don't want we want to be aggressive. So what? They complete a long touchdown pass or whatever. We're getting the football back to Jayden Daniels no matter what. If we make the stop or if they beat us for a touchdown over the top. Okay? But yeah, it's crazy. Now, I'm just going to say this, all right? Now, once again, I'll talk about anything at any time. One name I do not want to hear mentioned tonight, okay? Can we do this for one night? I want to see this. I've not seen his name mentioned yet tonight. If you've mentioned him tonight, please don't mention him again, okay? Please, can we go a live stream? Just one, and I'm asking nicely. Can we go one full live? You guys know I don't ask for a lot. But can we go a live stream tonight? Not mentioning Corey Raymond's name. There's just no Corey Raymond. All right. I've not seen his name in the chat because the reason why I say this is because Florida tonight, I don't know if you guys saw this or not. Florida tonight had a 4th and 17 for the win. Missouri had no timeouts left. 4th and 17. Okay. So we played Missouri. You guys, if you watch my channel, I hope you are diehard college football fans. We have scouted Missouri. We did a whole video on Missouri's best player, okay, who is a wide receiver. He is a 5-star wide receiver. Who on 4th and 17, okay, should not be allowed to run wide open on 4th and 17 for Missouri? Who should you guard on 4th and 17? If Missouri is trying to throw to their receivers, okay, I want you to tell me Missouri's best wide receiver's name. You guys should know this, okay? Yes, Danny, thank you. What did Corey Raymond's secondary do? Okay, what did Corey Raymond's secondary do? They let Luther Burden jog and just stand past the sticks, wave his arms in the air. It wasn't an extended play. He literally just ran past the sticks, did this on 4th and 17, and caught the ball in hardly any traffic. I have never seen anything like this in my life. 4th and 17. Who coaches the Florida secondary? You guessed it. Okay. So please, I'm not saying Corey Raymond was a bad coach at LSU. I'm not saying he's a bad coach now. There are a lot of factors that go into every single coaching hire. And if Corey Raymond were to come back and he let bygones be bygones, guess what? I'd welcome him with open arms. Okay? You don't let him walk past there. JJ, my man, we have built this channel together, my brother. Okay. I'm not calling you out, JJ. I'm not. All right. Jayden played the maximum. Okay. You can't. I mean, how many drives did Garrett Nussbauer play tonight? One? He played one drive? Jayden played the maximum. If it's 56-14 with less than 5 minutes left, I don't think you could keep running it up, because what that can do is cause voters to sour the other way, right? Like, oh, they're just padding the stats and spitting in our face, right? So I think we played it perfectly. I don't think we could have asked for a better night for Malik and Jayden to win the awards, the Biletnikoff and the Heisman, okay? Malik gets 8 catches for 140. Jayden Daniels, of course, another stellar game. And as we always do every post game, we go to the stats, okay? These are the final stats. And the first thing we always look for is the yard per play battle, okay? And you see in the far right column over here, LSU averaged 11 yards per play, and Georgia State only averaged 5.7. Now, I say only. In the second half, they kind of called off the dogs themselves. And tonight, we were a combined 5 of 6 for third down. If you want to give the LSU defense some credit, Georgia State a combined 6 for 16 on third and fourth down, even though one of those fourth downs should have been completed. Okay. Not the cleanest game penalty-wise, 5 penalties for 55 yards, but we did outgain them by 200 yards, which is really impressive. And it's just top to bottom an unbelievable night for LSU. Jayden Daniels, 25 of 30, 6 tutties. You see Jayden Daniels, 10 carries for 96 yards. You just couldn't ask for anything more. Over 500 yards, 8 touchdowns, a perfect game from Jayden Daniels, pretty much, right? Mac Barkway got his first touchdown. Trey Holly had himself a game. You'll see in the film study, his one catch should have actually gone for way more. So, yeah, really, really, really good night for LSU. Malik Neighbors, the fact that he went perfect, 9 targets, 8 catches. The only missed target was the very first play of the game where Jayden just missed him wide open. You take a look at this. Malik Neighbors, Kyron Lacey, Brian Thomas Jr., that is pretty perfect right there, right? What is that? 17 catches. All 3 of them going over 100 yards, okay? 17 catches on 18 targets, and it should have been 18 catches on 18 targets. If Jayden didn't miss that very first throw, it's ridiculous efficiency, right? And honestly, at this point, earlier this season, it was Mike Denbrock scheming a lot of this stuff open. Now, they are so good right now offensively. Yes, the play call still matters some, but it doesn't matter as much, right? These guys are such in tune with each other that the balls are being delivered so perfectly. The timing of everything is being delivered wonderfully. And when it actually is defended, the play is not dead, right? Jayden, a lot like Joe Burrow, a lot like Caleb Williams, and the Heisman Trophy winners of the past, they have been able to create and extend, right? The one trait that every single Heisman Trophy winner of the modern era has had is it's pretty simple. They all extend the play, okay? And when it comes to play extension, obviously Jayden is as good as anyone. Joe Burrow is a master magician of extending a play. Lamar Jackson, same freaking thing. Cam Newton, obviously far more downhill and vertical as a runner. But, all the greats are able to do that. Okay. Let's go to Nola Grizz with the super chat. Thank you so much. Nola Grizz, also my favorite MMA fighter. I love it. Let's take a look at the defense of breakdown. Omar Spates led everyone in tackles. I thought tonight was actually a pretty solid game from Omar. Maybe when I rewatch the game, it's going to look a little bit different. But yeah, I mean, tonight was just a mess, man. It really, really, really was a mess. We honestly just really struggled. Just doing the little things right. Like if it's 3rd and 3, we don't need to jump off sides. Jumped off sides on the opening drive twice. Okay. It's so many little things. A lot of it is scheme, but still. Let's go to JJ. If the Heisman voters are that petty, then that is sad. The kid had a goal in mind and let him have it. That's just me. Big game for Lacey, who's been super inconsistent this year. Happy for him. Yeah, early in the year, Kyron was obviously very inconsistent. He's had some games where he's gone off, and then he has some games where he's not. Really hadn't had one of those go-off games since the Auburn game. It is a little concerning. That's pretty much like one of the few Power 5 games where he just went off. But you are right. I mean, he's playing a lot better, and he's a really good blocker, and he's just a good team player. And one thing about Kyron Lacey, this has always been the case with him. Jayden likes him. The coaches like him because he plays hard, does his role, keeps going out there, and look, probably even more so than Jayden, right? Because Jayden had some people in his corner, positively, coping for him. Kyron Lacey had nobody in his corner, right? Because of the drops he's had have been so critical, right? The A&M game, the Florida State game. But he's just a good teammate, right? And that goes a long freaking way. But yeah, I think Brian Kelly was smart to not give Jayden one final drive. I think that was smart because then it just becomes because it just becomes about padding stats. You know what I'm saying? So let's go to Nola Grizz. Follow up super chat. Matt Moscona made a great point this week after losing 2 cornerbacks, but picking up 2 more lower star cornerbacks. Did you hear it? And what are your thoughts for rebuilding the secondary next year? Very good question. I think I actually saw a parent tweet out this clip. I didn't watch it, but I'm pretty sure I saw it. Okay. So let's go through it. Once again, I didn't see Matt's comment. So I know Matt. So I don't want to misquote anything that he says. Okay. But I'll basically go through what LSU's defensive back recruiting has gone through. So obviously LSU lost 2 top 150 DBs. Okay. It hurts even worse that one from Louisiana, who was a top 100 DB, flipped to Texas when he was committed to Florida, and that's Wardell Mack. So in theory, you're looking at this in a lens that those are 3 top 150 guys that we spend time recruiting, and it just didn't work out. Obviously, Wardell, not so much since he's been, at Florida, whatever, but still. And those 2 DBs are Andre Evans, okay? And the other is Kai Bates. Okay, so when Kai Bates committed, it was kind of up in the air with where he was going. And let's be fair here about Andre Evans. His recruitment just kind of picked up. So I won't spend too much time on Andre Evans, but his trainer actually reached out to me months ago when he was committed to LSU and going to LSU and very locked in on going to LSU. And, he had saw that, did a bunch of film studies on him and talked about him, and he saw that, did film reviews. And this has happened before where the individual trainers of these players will reach out to me and just chat to me about the prospect. They were just interested in hearing my thoughts and all of that, which is cool, right? Andre Evans is a little bit different because, Brian Kelly liked him so much and, kind of committed at a camp where BK was there and there was a photo of them there. He was a fast riser, all right? His situation was different because he didn't play in a great defensive system, so his tape didn't look great, but athletically, he is so elite, right? He is a sub 11 100-meter guy, and he's just chiseled. Like he's just a dude, right? And once his athletic scores became just a little bit more public known and there was a little bit more film, that's when Georgia turned up the heat and he committed to Georgia. Okay? Sucks. Shouldn't happen. But it happened. Okay? And he went from like a 3-star to like a top 150 4-star. That hurts because that shouldn't be happening at DBU. But Kirby Smart is a defensive backs coach, and he's a head coach, and it happened. So it's going to, I'm guessing he's referencing BB Causey, a 3-star we got out of New Orleans, and a 3-star in PJ Woolard out of Mississippi, who's a 2-way guy, play DB. So, yeah, sure, bring on the 3-stars. We've had plenty of 3-star defensive backs from Louisiana. So, yeah, it should be interesting, and maybe one of those guys pans out. LSU desperately needs one of the following players to pan out. They really just need one. Obviously, in a perfect world, you have more than one. Any one of these true freshmen, okay? If it's Jeremiah Hughes, if it's Javian Toviano, if it's Ashton Stamps, it would be massive if one of those 3 guys becomes a dude next year, okay? Massive, all right? Because there's just, you're not going to get 3, 4, 5 DBs from the portal. It's just tough. It's tough, okay? But yeah, we're just gonna need to get more pieces, right? We're gonna need to re-recruit some guys to come back and play, right? There's a lot of guys on our defense that that are going to need to stay put, right? There's a ton of guys that don't want to give up on, even though they've not had the seasons that we expected them to. And some of those guys have professional decisions to make. What does Wingo want to do? What does Mason Smith want to do? What does whoever? But I'll say this, give them credit. It looked like it was going to be a long night where Georgia State was going to continue to keep scoring on us, and we held them to 14 points. 14 is the exact amount of points that they have scored each of the last 2 weeks. Okay, so we held them in their to their recent averages, and the defense deserves some credit for finally, pitching a second half shutout. Something else I'll bring up though is sometimes your best defense is a good offense, right? And if you're scoring at will and the score is so heavily lopsided, you become so one-dimensional on offense that you can't really run anymore. You can't really do what you want to do offensively. So that obviously helps your defense out. PJ Woodland from Hattiesburg. But yeah, we I really wish Jimbo was coaching next weekend. I'd feel a lot better about next week. I still feel pretty good. Okay. Let's see here. Yeah, so as Dr. Morgan said, we got a few stops there in that second half. Actually, a lot of stops. So yeah, let's see here. Bo Davis, best D-line coach in the country. Yeah, it was like the Jamar Chase injury. Yeah. Let's see here. Lots of Wit Week questions. It won't get answered until specifically someone asks Brian Kelly about it. There's a piece of me that thinks he's just banged up, but Brian Kelly's been asked a few times about the injury report. It is what it is. Shout out to KJ. That's my homie. We've never had this best defense till now in 2019. This is new for us. It feels great. I get what you mean. You can score, but dang, not being able to stop is scary AF. Yeah, not getting stops is worrisome. Here's something else it's worrisome. Okay, 2020 LSU defense, in terms of yards per play, will probably always be the worst defense we've ever had. But they did some things well, right? That defense forced a ton of turnovers. We had 4 or 5 pick sixes that year. Okay. So there was some positive trade-off, right? Like, a pick six helps you win games. They just do, right? They're huge momentum shifters, but more so it's just 7 extra points without ever having to actually move the football at all, right? Like we don't force turnovers. The benefit of that defense was the havoc it created, right? Yeah, getting a lot of questions about what weeks. We just don't know. Okay. Now, I do have one thing. Poll questions up. One thing about the defense here. Okay. And I think it's very important to bring this up, but that'll come right after this. PHL Nation. Oh, yeah, baby. You know about Louisiana Controls. They've been showing us love throughout this college football season, and I'm looking for you to do the same when it comes to your energy management commercial HVAC needs. It is all with our buddies who have been doing this for over 40 years. Yes, that is 4 decades. You know this Louisiana weather gets crazy. Go to LouisianaControls.com or call 225-924-4990, baby. Let's go. Yeah, big apologies. I've been trying to get, what's it called? The circadian rhythms. I've been trying to get my sleep cycles back correctly. My phone shifted to off focus. So thank you, Branson, for the Venmo. Appreciate you. He liked that I gave him the Maryland pick earlier. I had Florida plus 12 today as well. So there you go. Now, man, when I think of this LSU defense, one thing that has always kind of confused me, right? And this is why I kind of towards the end of his career defended Ali Gay to a certain extent. Like Ali Gay was never like a perfect player, but Ali Gay played kind of a tough role, right? The end opposite the jack in Matt House's system has always been kind of a square peg and round hole kind of spot, right? And this year we've had, mostly Parashand and Savion Jones play that role. And I'm still trying to figure out what are we trying to accomplish here, right? What does that player do well? Okay. What does he or she do well? All right. And Pierce, are you in here? I saw what you sent me. That Yeah, Pierce, do a little bit more digging and see if that for real is him. I know you're watching right now. That is interesting. Yeah, so that's one LSU player tweeted out something pretty interesting. I honestly can't go search for sure to see if this is true or not, but it looks kind of legit that West Weeks tweeted out hashtag free 40. Okay. So to player X's question about where is Whit Weeks, I don't know. I don't know why they're not playing him. I don't know. Okay. I'll put it on the screen. It looks pretty legit. Okay. I don't know what this reference is. Okay. And we honestly won't know until Brian Kelly specifically asked about it. Okay. Now, has Brian Kelly been to the podium yet? I don't know. Okay. Right now, Player X, I would say I'm probably at I would say 66% of it is coaching. 2/3 of it. I think that's pretty fair. I think 2/3 of it is about where it needs to be. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. If you see me on my phone, I'm just trying to get more information here. Okay. One thing that's going to be very interesting for next year. I had a few people complain about scheduling the and Player X. I like the photo change. Look at that, Tiger Stadium, golden band in the background, and you're with your kid. That's always great. Can't wait to see you again, buddy. I would say 2/3 of it is coaching, maybe more. All right. Now it's always easier to blame the coaches and the players. Okay. You know, I would say the Ole Miss game was probably 50-50. Coaches, players, but overarching, I would say I would say it's probably 2/3. And especially considering Alexander and Wingo have been out. Okay. Rick, I need to go watch what they did today. But one thing I will mention, all right. I have long banged the table. All right. Yeah, we're talking about Dave Bartu. So Dave Bartu was a guy that that Preston had on his show earlier this week that does the coaching grades. Okay. Dave and I see eye to eye on a lot of different things. One thing that I have gotten in huge arguments with him, huge, is the SEC scheduling. He is such a major proponent of the SEC staying at an 8-game conference schedule. I am a 9-game conference schedule guy. Okay. And the reason why I like a 9-game conference schedule is the same reason why a lot of you were bitching about the Tiger Stadium atmosphere tonight. Okay. It was kind of lifeless and it wasn't, it's a nobody team in November. Well, guess what? If you have a 9-game conference schedule, the likelihood that everyone in the SEC doesn't play anyone goes way down, right? Now, we did have 3 SEC on SEC matchups. 2 of them were very close at the end, okay? And we did have Auburn choke, or actually get blown out today by New Mexico State. It is kind of weird, right? But if you don't want as many Rena wins, beg for a 9-game conference schedule. If you like the way things are now, keep it at 8. I do want to point out, though, next year, LSU plays all their non-conference games in the first month of the season. Okay, and the rest of the year is all conference games. At least that's how I see it. Maybe some things get moved around. I doubt that. All right, JJ, we'll see you. Our chats are always better with you than without you. I don't understand. JJ's a day one. Do I think Kyron Lacy stays another year? Yes. Kyron Lacy going to the NFL draft would be one of the all-time weirdest decisions. Okay. I would have absolutely no idea why he would not want to come back and catch passes from a guy he's been catching passes from in practice for years, especially if Denbrock is coming back next year. So yeah, I think for sure Kyron Lacy's coming back next year. I think Kyron can play in the league, though. I do. I also think he'd be a pretty fantastic corner, but he's a receiver and he should play receiver. Okay. He is one of the most physically imposing wide receivers we've had in terms of blocking. Okay. Jayden Daniels, 417 yards per game. That is 15 more than any other Heisman Trophy winner of this era. 15 more. Okay. Only Joe Burrow put up more points per game. Jayden Daniels has been more efficient. It's crazy. Eight drives, 8 tutties. Unreal, man. Unreal. Okay. This is a good question here from Branson Cat. Okay. Carter, a lot of people think BK for some reason will keep house. I disagree. Where do I stand right now? I think Matt House will be fired. Okay. Now, once again, this isn't what I would do. I'd fire him. But Branson has asked me what I think Brian Kelly would do. Now, I am a believer in sample size. Okay. I don't think you can really say one thing or another about any coach, right? Especially like Robert Steeples. Would I have gone in that direction and hired Robert Steeples? Probably not. This is LSU DBU, right? I probably wouldn't have hired a corners coach who had never really coached corners at this level or whatnot. Probably wouldn't have made that move. I don't think Steeples is a bad coach. He is very young. It's a hard job. It's a hard job. Okay. But I don't think you could really say anything about any coach being bad or good. Okay. What I could tell you though is with Matt House, you do see sample size, right? After the Alabama game, me included, he was viewed as untouchable, right? The best coach in the LSU Bama game was Matt House. He was the best coordinator in that game. He was better than any coach that put on a headset that night. The game plan versus Bryce Young was incredible. It was Bryce Young's only game with less than 50% of his passes completed. That's how good it was. Okay. But what about all the others, right? Like we had some other really good defensive performances. We take a look at the Mississippi State game. A lot of that was Perk and Bijo Ojolari making plays. Mississippi State also dropped a lot of passes. They really did. Arkansas game, we were great. They didn't have their quarterback. Okay. Auburn game had some big defensive plays, individual defensive plays that were made. Auburn still averaged 6.3 yards per play, which is a lot. That's a championship or a college football playoff level offense with Robbie Ashford and a coach on the decline. Then you look at the end of season. Okay. Purdue, we dominated, of course. Georgia, all-time great team, undefeated college football playoff champion. Stetson Bennett Heisman finalist. But the game that really perplexed me was Texas A&M, right? You had UAB the week before. You had, so you basically had 2 weeks to prepare for it. I don't know if Georgia being around the corner spooked him or not, but they ran all over us. That was a major red flag. A team the week before that struggled to move the football on UMass in the rain, but still struggled to move the football on UMass, looked like the prime Big Ben Steelers with Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Moss. They looked amazing. Okay. And we could not adjust to their simple bounce run scheme. And once again, Achane, best running back in the NFL when he's been healthy this year, in the AFC, that is. So it makes some sense. But still, we were not that great. Then the Florida State game happened again. Same issue. Can't get off the field on third down. Then Grambling moved the football up and down the field on us. And then so on and so on. So we had the good game. Mississippi State, whatever the case may be, really dominant game. Trying to get some Brian Kelly quotes here. That's crazy. Yeah, I don't think Brian Kelly's went to the podium yet. At least I don't think so. A whole lot of you have asked what happened to Bullfrog. This is the thing about commenting anonymously. Okay. You can talk all you want and then immediately just vanish. And guess what? That's fine. You can do what you want. We got some trolling going on. You want me to block somebody? No, Walter, we're talking about that a minute ago. Oh, you think it's me? Well, you are right about one thing. I am a bum. Rancy, good to see you. So, Mike. Aaron, good to see you. I won't say who I want because that, or someone that I was interested in because he had a rough day. But I've actually not started my coordinator search just yet. So the pressure is up. I'm just shocked that no one. Normally, let me just do this real quick. Normally, I don't like to play the press conference because you can just go do that yourself. So normally, I have some alerts here. Okay. So here we go. Here are a few of his quotes in the post-game press conference. Brian Kelly says he's seen some improvement on the defensive line. Okay. Brian Kelly says he can only dream of Jayden being in the Heisman contingent. Brian Kelly said what impressed him the most tonight, Jayden Daniels, the one dink and duck passes, he was hitting the big throws. So that's basically it here from Glenn West. So, yeah, let me just do this real quick. I'm glad. Oh, God. Oh, man. I appreciate you, KJ. I saw you tag me on Instagram for some. That's cool. I didn't get a chance to look at it yet. But we have two 1,000-yard receivers. Daniels over 3,000 passing. And 1,000 rushing, and today alone 3 wide receivers are over 100 yards. Steal some stat from Bama's backyard. Now KJ's in here most of the time. Love it, man. Big on big on diversity in here, man. It's always cool to see. We have so many strong women here on PHL. It's awesome. Here's Dustin coming in hot. Dustin kind of young here to be typing out such a hot take. I'm actually impressed that Dustin's already like at the age of like 3 typing out Skip Bayless level takes here. JD just might luck into a Heisman. Not impressive to beat up on bad teams. Oh my goodness. Yeah, Jayden, here's the thing. He might luck into a Heisman. Luck is in having more yards per game than any Heisman Trophy winner of the past decade. He might luck into it. He might luck into it with 1,000 yards rushing. He might luck into this with a top 5 strength of schedule. All luck. No skill involved. He's just going to waltz right in. Even though his numbers are better than Robert Griffin III, Johnny Manziel, Cam Newton, Lamar Jackson, who he gets compared to quite a bit. Anyone. His numbers are better. This isn't a matter of luck. Luck is lucky to be in the same sentence as Jayden Daniels in your ignorant comment. In fact, is the Heisman Trophy, it would be lucky for Bo Nix or Michael Penix to win this award and Jayden Daniels not. Just because Jayden Daniels couldn't go out there and make one measly tackle up 9 versus Ole Miss. Because Jayden Daniels couldn't have avoided not running a QB spy. If only Jayden Daniels could have avoided a drop on 2nd and 17 versus Alabama. If only Jayden Daniels could have avoided multiple holding penalties and multiple missteps versus Alabama. If only Jayden Daniels could luck in to a situation like that. Please, get out of here, hater. But he might luck into it. He might. I actually tweeted this quote out earlier tonight. Famous FIFA soccer commentator Andy Gray said, "It's better to be lucky than good anyway." Okay? Guess what? Every single Heisman Trophy winner has luck. Every team that wins needs a certain level of luck. Okay? Jayden Daniels, Michael Penix, and Bo Nix all have one major luck factor in their favor, in that they're all playing simply because a worldwide pandemic swept the world. Okay? Which granted them the extra year of eligibility for all of them to play this year. Okay? You need lucky things to go your way. Joe Burrow needed to go to LSU, and needed to unite with Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson and needed the fresh start. Everybody has to have those breaks go their way. So I'm not saying that there hasn't been any luck, but every single human being has had luck. Every single one of them. The man who everyone calls the greatest to ever play the game of football ended up with prime Bill Belichick and some of the best defenses you'll ever see. Okay? You've got to have luck on your side. Okay? Yeah, Holden, we're 6 and if we did not have Jayden Daniels, Garrett Nussmeier probably has us set 7-5 by the end of the season. So Malik would be able to do enough to and BTJ to win us some games. And Garrett's good enough to have gotten us over the hump, but probably not beating Arkansas. We're definitely not beating Missouri. That's a game that we're in no shape, form, or fashion. Missouri has beaten us by 21. Okay. If we did not have Jayden in that game, because Jayden was so stupendously good in that one. I don't think that one's debatable. Now, obviously, Garrett would have done enough to get us to set. Obviously, that Florida game would have been played way differently. But yeah, we're probably, we're sitting at 9-3 right now. And we're sitting at 8-3. I would say we're either 6-5 or 7-4 with 7-4 best case scenario, because we're losing Missouri. Absolute best case scenario. Tell him, Taryn. Mahomes was lucky enough to go up against Jimmy G. He did win another. Okay. You want to know who's lucky? I'm just going to be honest. Okay. You know who's lucky? Patrick Mahomes' wife. Now, she hits the high school jackpot of the century, and now she's hanging out with Taylor Swift. I was like, daggum, you have cut it. Now, I do think she gets too much hate because, they call her cringe or whatever. But you're not the one hanging out with Taylor Swift. Hell, she's hanging out with a freaking billionaire every day, and they got their own little secret handshake. It's crazy. Destin says lots of bad teams on that schedule. Okay. So, let me ask you this, Dustin, since you're still here. Is Alabama a good or a bad team? Dustin, tell me, is Alabama a good or a bad team? Tell me. Is Alabama a good or a bad team? Rob, what's good, bro? Yeah, she's had. Okay, so Dustin says Alabama is a good team, but didn't you say there's a bunch of bad teams on that schedule? Alabama, you take a look. Offensive and defensive efficiency, they're both, I believe, in the top 15 nationally now. So what did Jayden Daniels do versus Alabama, Dustin? What did he do? Answer that and then come back to me. Okay. If he's a bad team. Okay. Once again, Jayden Daniels has had one not great game. Okay. And I would also say he's had one not great half. Okay. And that was the first half versus Arkansas. Everything else has been to its near maximum, if you ask me, to where it would be very hard to play better than what Jayden Daniels did in any of these games. Okay? Unreal. Unreal. I don't think the top line has been added to his total stats just yet. So these bottom numbers are probably a little inaccurate. But the stat I use the most is QBR, ESPN QBR. 98, 97, 96, 92, 98, 94, 86, 94, 89. I mean, this is it's unconscious. Honestly, it's unfreaking real. I know. Taryn, that's the thing that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like Robert Griffin III is bringing up primetime games. Jayden versus Alabama, 15 to 24 for 219, 2 touchdowns and a pick, 11 rushes for 163 yards and a touchdown. Okay? I don't think people understand. 11 rushes for 163 yards and a touchdown is what you think a wide receiver would have versus Alabama. Okay? If a running back went for 11, 163 and a touchdown versus Alabama, people would think, damn, that was one heck of a game. But this is a quarterback. He was also 15 to 24 for 219, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Now, I know what you're going to say. Well, Carter, the completion percentage is down. Well, yeah, this was the only game where our offensive line wasn't lights out. He was under a lot of pressure. We also had drop issues. How drastically different is the Alabama game if Mason Taylor makes that catch? But that's in a rear view. Jayden Daniels is an all-time great quarterback in college football. No matter what happens. Okay? No matter what happens. So, here's a funny thing. Okay? That doesn't change if Jayden Daniels wins a Heisman or not, right? Vince Young, all-time great college quarterback. Deshaun Watson, all-time great college quarterback. Their legacies are cemented. The reason why the Heisman Trophy is so big for Jayden, though, is he's not in the playoff. These guys were able to have these marquee games, right? And Jayden Daniels, obviously, is one of the best quarterbacks we've ever seen in the SEC. And his biggest win was last year. No matter what happens the rest of the way, there is no victory that will ever beat what he was able to do last year versus Alabama. Okay? Now, of course, if we would have beat them this year, it would have been bigger than last year, but didn't happen. Okay? Yeah, right. It's just simple logic, right? People, whenever someone puts up ridiculous stats, the first thing they say is you haven't played anybody. Oh, it's easy to do. We can go look it up. LSU got the worst luck you possibly could have imagined with this schedule in one instance, okay? And this is why Texas and Oklahoma joining the SEC is a really good thing, okay? So much of your season's luck depended on who you played from the SEC East that wasn't your permanent cross-division rival, okay? So we play Florida every year. The team that we drew as our non-permanent cross-division team was Missouri. Not only did we draw Missouri, we drew the best Missouri team since the Gary Pinkel era, okay? And we had to go to their place for an 11 a.m. game the week after a late night road loss that was a track meet. And Jayden won this game with no defense and being severely hurt. That's a Heisman moment. Now, they won't consider it a Heisman moment because Robert Griffin will tell you, well, the game wasn't in prime time. And that's the stuff that doesn't make any sense. I don't think Bo Nix or Michael Penix has a win better than that one. Okay? Oh, so Dustin is just mad about Jayden Daniels' second half stats. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. If you're just talking about tonight, okay, because look, I'll show this to you right now, Dustin, and I will painfully, because you're a new person, Dustin. I don't like doing this to new viewers. We have a bunch of new viewers in here tonight. Taryn, I think you're new. Welcome. If you are watching, this is our live stream schedule. Right here. Okay. We will go live after the Brian Kelly press conference, and we'll have a film study tomorrow night at 8:15 Central instead of the normal live stream, okay? But Tuesdays, Thursdays, 8:15 Central, Wednesdays at 6. Take a screenshot. You guys teach me new things. Tell me when I'm wrong, and I obviously, hopefully, educationally entertain each and every one of you, okay? No, but let's do this. Let's say Dustin's point holds supreme. Let's go through all these games and let's take out the games where Jayden Daniels proverbially pad his stats. So obviously earlier this year we played Grambling and Jayden obviously had a huge game, but this was only the second game of the season, right? So normally the second game of the season of a blowout game, you're going to have your quarterback play part of the second half because it's still so early in the season, right? And Grambling had actually moved the football in that first half. So there you go. Mississippi State, obviously they scored right before the half, so it's an SEC opponent. We're on the road. Arkansas was a close game all the way till the end. Ole Miss a close game all the way to the end. Missouri a close game. Auburn not so much a close game, but as you can see, Jayden only had 27 pass attempts in this game, and we did eventually go to Garrett Nussmeier. And Auburn did have some early second half success with Robbie Ashford. Then we get to Army, where Jayden was pulled at halftime. Okay. He was pulled at halftime, Dustin. All right. He did not pad his stats. Okay. I've never seen a quarterback get pulled. Well, I think Jayden versus Southern last year, where the score is 37-0 after the first quarter. But Jayden didn't play in the second half. Then we get to Georgia State. So obviously there was some stat padding going on here. I'll admit that they probably played him an extra drive. Well, yeah, because he's in a Heisman Trophy race. But let's just say Jayden Daniels did not play the second half of this game. All right. Dustin, he still had 339 yards of total offense, 5 touchdowns and 0 picks at halftime. He still had 339 yards of total offense, 5 touchdowns, no picks. Okay. So the bigger risk was him continuing to play, right? Like, let's just say this final stat line was it was like 260 yards passing, 50 yards rushing for 339 total, something like that. That's still pretty daggum good, right? I don't think the stat padding is as important as many would think it would be, but because it's such a close race and Bo Nix and Michael Penix get a full extra game, then you need the stat pad because you're getting a full extra game to play. All right. Now, a good question would be is if we're giving out an individual award, why should we benefit individuals playing in conference championship games just because they get an extra game, right? Most individual awards are given out based just on the regular season, right? Which is the games that everyone has the same amount of opportunity to play. Okay? So, yeah, you got a stat pad because they get an extra game. It's simple. So I'll tell you this. You know who else pads his stats for his Heisman Trophy winners? Nick Saban. He gave Derrick Henry 40 plus carries in back-to-back weeks. Okay, 40 plus carries. A running back. Hell yeah. If you're Derrick Henry's set for life with that Heisman Trophy. I actually like Auburn next weekend. I think that's going to be a good buy low, sell high spot, right? I think there will be a little bit of an overreaction to Auburn losing. All right, that's going to be the last time I entertain your thing. And I'm guessing you're an LSU fan because you bring up Joe Burrow here. Burrow played more meaningful games and put up numbers. Yeah, but this isn't about Joe Burrow, right? This is not about Joe Burrow. Joe could honestly care less if you or I think he's better than Jayden, better than Cam. All he cares about is 15-0, right? No, right there are some people that don't like Jayden. There are LSU fans that don't like Jayden. I've seen them, right? I've seen them. There's, for whatever reason, there's not many of them. I would say that the number's probably like 1 or 2%. But yeah. Yeah. So RG3 compared himself to Jayden Daniels. He was the one that put himself into Jayden's argument, not me. Okay. That's one thing people got my Wednesday show all screwed up. It wasn't me. Like, I put myself into the conversation because I was just correcting Robert Griffin. Not correcting, but just pointing out something very weird that he said about Jayden on Twitter. And he started like comparing what he did compared to what Jayden did. And I was like, man, that's just kind of bizarre, right? Each season is its own season, right? So in the next few minutes, I'll answer as many questions as we possibly can. But if you super chat, we'll keep it going. Very fun post-game show. Big congrats to Jayden Daniels. Yeah, and Jayden's career is pretty legendary too. Does have the 4 extra games in 2020 in his favor, but still. And then I go back to this. This is a good point from Taryn. Is it a team award or an individual award? Just that simple. Top super chatters this evening. No big surprise. Boris always showing me love. Sibley in the Hundo Club yet again. Player X. Cody. Nola Grizz. JJ. Nola Grizz again. I appreciate you guys helping feed my family. Got the eye test saying.
Oh, look, I got a let's go.
I had someone hit their underdog fantasy parlay. There you go. Dude, Florida fans are going crazy over Billy Napier right now. Ooh. Georgia Tech won tonight. Mm. What's up, Steve? I got to show you all this from Steve. Okay, so Steve owns a fancy, one of my favorite things on the planet, a good daiquiri. So, Steve, hopefully it's okay I show this. I got to. I never. So this honestly is the first time PHL has been played in the bar. Look at that. That is so cool, man. That's dope. So that's me in the background. Steve's down. I can't wait to go here. I'm a daiquiri guy. You guys know I love my fruity drinks, man. I'm a fruity drink. I don't like that bourbon, whiskey. I know I can get down with whiskey, but like bourbon, scotch, all that stuff. Get that melted pine cone BS out of here. Give me something that actually tastes good. This is a perfect little DAC shop. You got a dartboard in here. It's my kind of place. I serve a beta, so if you don't like daiquiris, this is my ish right here. Let's see what flavors we got. Oh, we got orange 190. A liquor that ends with a number is never good, right? A liquor that ends with a number, right? Colt 45. Dude, next thing you know, you're playing Edward 40 hands. You gotta be careful with that. Mad Dog 2020. Oh my God. Mad Dog 20. You have got to be careful with Mad Dog 2020. That I truly do believe Mad Dog 2020 is just motor oil with food coloring. There's no way that you could drink that, man. Orange 190. It's not a it's not a 180-degree turn. It's not this. It's well, actually, 190 would be a little bit more this way. It's this. Okay. Y'all see what I did there? 180-degree instead of 190-degree. Now I'm going to do another one here. Okay. Let me see it. All right. This y'all going to like this one. Okay. I call that turn a Nick Lachey. Get it? Because it was 98 degrees. Now, if it was 90 degrees, it would have gone like that. But you see, I was a little bit kind of at like an angle. 98 degree turn. See? Yeah, y'all don't know about that. So you got to come in hot. Tell him, KJ. Can't be over 23 and getting that 98 degrees, man. All these young guns talking about BTS. F that, man. This I promise you. I don't get it. And then it's gonna be May. Every little thing I never want to do it again. Y'all don't know. Y'all don't know, man. I used to shred those dance floors, man. Baby, when you find get to love somebody, guess what? It's so funny. Oh man. So I Steve, I know you do Mad Dog 2020. So is that what the orange 190 is? It's just frozen MD 2020? Oh man, that is dangerous, bro. Oh, you got a peach Bellini? That's my It's gonna be May. You might even hurt, babe. That's so funny. So, Steve, we got a Beta, got some Yingling in here. Sheesh. We got a blue one in here. That looks good. Tell him, Reggie. Tell him, Reggie, you've been through it. You know it. You know about that Mad Dog 2020, bro. Oh. Yeah, I've gotten fat. I don't like it. I'm just trying to get to the bottom of this Whit Weeks thing. Tell him, KJ. Get to love somebody. That's why. Oh man, this pro sports better. I missed. So I don't bet big. It's just not my thing, right? Like I've read so much on how difficult it is to be a winning sports bettor, and over the last 2 years in college football, I've been mostly um, a winning player. But this stuff ain't for me. This stuff is not like. That's why it's like $20 here. Not anything crazy, but there was these pro NFL guys that made some huge college football wagers. Huge. One guy put $16K on James Madison and went outright to win $5K or something like that, and he lost. Shit's stupid. Don't do it. All right, we'll see you guys Tuesday on the film study. You know, for the Missouri film study, we did like 50,000 boy band references. So we might do. Well, we had Justin Timberlake as our thumbnail. So if you want to see it, it's Missouri. It's got JT's with the blonde curly. Controversial, but Britney Spears era. Justin Timberlake. So it was Justin's hairdo at that time. It's the Missouri thumbnail if you want to watch it. We have One Direction in there. We have Boyz II Men in there. We did some other music acts outside of. Now we had Outkast in there. So there you go. It is Power Hour LSU. Bam. And tonight we are doing some Detroit style pizza. Let's go.